Okay, we're going to do it now. We are going to build our internal navigation using a new container, which is called a GroupFocus. Let's jump in. So we gave you a quick preview of the internal navigation component, which is called a GroupFocus. So what I'd like you to do, please, folks, is open up your nav bar and edit element. And I'd like you to look for basically the group user. So this internal navigation we're building is for a logged in user where they can click on their avatar to then reveal a GroupFocus navigation system. Okay. So this image avatar, if you double click on the image avatar and you bring up the property editor, we will only ever be using this internal navigation system for logged in users. And this image avatar is in multiple locations. The avatar can be found on the index page when a user is logged in, and it can be found in their respective dashboards. So what I'd like to do is this. I'd like you to please go to Edit and convert to a reusable element. We're converting the image avatar to a reusable element because we need to use it in multiple locations, and we're going to build the internal navigation system inside the reusable element. Let's name this avatar. Okay, don't forget to get, if you want to get back here, it's under the reusable element section. Great. So let's just first of all sort out a few bits and pieces here. So if we just go back to the nav bar for 1 second, we just want to check on the size of this image element. So you can remain where you are. I'll do this work for us. So on the layout tab, we have 40 pixels. Fantastic. We're going to go back to the avatar reusable element and bring up your property editor. And I'd like you to change the layout here. It can remain fixed, okay, but I want it 40 by 40. Okay. This element here, I'm just going to put it back inside. This also needs to be 40 by 40. Getting that back inside. Okay, so just make sure that that is neatly positioned. So currently the reusable element is a group. That's absolutely fine. And inside the group, we have our image avatar. Now what I'd like you to do is scroll down to containers and find yourself a GroupFocus. Click once and just click again inside image avatar. It's going to position this GroupFocus in the top left-hand corner. And the reference element is going to be image avatar. Now you can see how it's basically pinned to this image avatar. Let's first change the color of this, please. Let's choose our surface color, or primary contrast, primary contrast. For the roundness, let's choose 8. Over on the layout tab, column will work well. Let's choose a min width. Let's actually choose a fixed width for this of 240. Now I would like the right-hand edge to be flush with the right-hand edge of this image avatar. So what we'll do is on the appearance tab, we need to offset from the left. Now, in order to know which direction to go in, we first have to put a number in here. I'm going to try minus 200. Okay, so that sits flush with the edge. I'm going to now push it down maybe about 6 pixels. Okay, and what I'm going to do is on the border style, I'm going to choose solid and then the border color. Looking good. And let's choose a slight shadow. So we're going to choose outset. We're going to choose a blur radius of 8 for this, spread radius of 2, just a creative choice. box shadow color. We're going to first start with our dark text color and then change that to 10%. Okay, we'll only really see the effects of that once this is up and running. We're going to rename GroupFocus to navigation. And now we need to actually run a workflow to show this GroupFocus because it's hidden by default. So click back on image avatar and add workflow. And now we're simply just going to go down to element actions and show. Actually, a slightly better way to do this would be element actions and toggle, because this is something you've not seen before, I suspect. So toggle what? Toggle GroupFocus navigation. And what toggle means is when we click image avatar, if GroupFocus is not showing, then it will show it. And if GroupFocus is showing, it will hide it. So it does the direct opposite. So toggle is really useful. Okay. You can see it's pulled back up here for a second. That's okay. We're going to be designing it very shortly. Another thing we need to do here is on the avatar, I'd like you to add a type of content here because this image actually needs to be dynamic. We don't know which person is logged in and which data we need to refer to. So we have to configure that. Okay, so we're going to choose user. And then I'm going to click on the image avatar itself. And instead of the current user's avatar, we're going to choose parent groups user. Just parent groups user's avatar, excuse me. Because now we're going to be referencing data from the reusable element. We're going to be pushing data into that reusable element wherever we drop the reusable element onto the canvas. I'll explain a little bit more later on. So parent groups uses avatar because the avatar, which is the reusable element, has type of content user. Okay, brilliant. I'm just going to see if I can quickly fix this. Let me just refresh the page. Okay, I managed to recenter it by refreshing the page. Let's design this element now. Padding, let's use 20 all the way around. So internal padding. And now grab some text, drop it inside, type dashboard. Now you'll notice we're not using link elements because remember, link elements are only useful for public facing pages. It's a way for Google to tie together your internal link navigation. When a user is signed up, you can still use a link if you want, but I actually need to use conditional statements here. So I'm choosing to use just a standard workflow on a text element or a group. So that's our dashboard. I'm going to remove them in width. And I'm going to remove them in height. Let's now find ourselves a material icon. Now this needs to represent dashboard. So I've typed dash. And let's use one of these icons here. Actually, this one on the far right. So space dashboard. I'm going to use our charcoal color. And on the layout tab, we're going to use 24 by 24. Okay, we want these next to each other, of course. So highlight group dashboard. Actually, I'm going to highlight the material icon first and then group dashboard. And now I'm going to group elements in a row container. Call this group navlink dashboard. Okay, on the layout tab, I'm going to remove them in height. Now on the roundness, please add 8, and I'll get to you in a second why we're doing this. Background style, change flat color to our primary contrast. We're going to be using conditionals to create a hover effect with the mouse. Now on the layout tab, first of all, some gap spacing, please. Let's try 12 here on the column. Too much, try 8. That works. Okay, we need a bit of padding around it, so let's try 8 all the way around. Might be too much. Let me have a look. No, I think that works well. Now this dashboard is not centered, so I've clicked on the text element dashboard and I'm going to choose vertical alignment in the center. Okay, that's a bit better. And on the conditional tab, let's do the following. Let's say that when this group is hovered, then let's change the color. Let's use the background color and let's use our surface. A neat little feature that you might not be aware of is on the appearance tab, we can actually change the animation of this text transitioning from its current color to the surface color. And to do that, we'll go to the bottom of the appearance tab and we select a property to define a new transition. I'm going to choose the background style because on the conditions tab, we've got the background color, okay? So background style, and I usually find that a noticeable transition animation starts at around 250 for me. So that's what I like to use. And you can play with these settings here, but we're just going to use ease. Okay, let me have a look at that. Let's actually reduce the padding here. Let's choose 16 all the way around. Because 16 plus 8 equals 24. I think that's a nice bit of spacing around everything. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's copy and paste and do a few more. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to choose Command C, Command V on my Mac. I'm going to say search for this. Maybe we can say search jobs. I'm going to type work. Hopefully I get my briefcase. There it is down there. Okay, let's do another one. Say blogs for this one. Blogs. And blogs. And I'm guessing we need maybe an article. Yep, there's the one on the right hand side. What else do we have? If we go back to my nav bar, I'm just going to remind myself what these internal, so browse jobs. Okay, let's change this to browse jobs, blog and about us. Fantastic. Browse jobs, blog and about us. About us is the last one. Copy paste using the keyboard shortcut. Now, obviously the blogs and about us aren't going to go anywhere, right? We're just doing a bit of design work, having some practice here. So I need something that represents a building. And I don't actually know what it's called. So that looks like a bank. I'm not going to use that. Is that a building? I think it might be, but because I've copied and pasted, I don't actually know what the shortcut is. Find any icon here, guys. Press pause here and find any icon you like. Not that important. Lastly, we're going to grab a button. Drop that in. All right, let's push it to the top. That's okay. Log out. I'm going to change this to a tertiary button. No, I'm not. I'm going to change it to a secondary button. Yes, that's better. On the layout tab, I'd like edge to edge. So uncheck fixed width, remove min width, and the height of this let's choose 40. And then make last once you're done with that. All right, and in this rare occasion that I need just a bit of space between two elements, I'm actually going to just use some margin here. So top margin, 12. Very nice. Okay, let's sort out the workflows. So add workflow and log out. Go to account, log the user out, and then let's hide on the element actions, group focus, navigation. And if someone's logged out, of course, we need to take them somewhere because they could be in their dashboard. It doesn't look good if you log them out and then the screen starts to change, things start to be hidden by privacy rules. So let's navigate them, go to page, and go back to page login. Fantastic. Now for the workflows for dashboard. So I'm going to add a workflow on dashboard. And the first one I'll do is navigation, go to page. And let's do the company first. And that is the current user's company. All right. I have to send page data to the company dashboard. And let's send more parameters. So overview is where we want to land. Now, we need a conditional statement to differentiate between the three types of users here. Now, we don't have the admin dashboard. We're building that in section 8 next week. So we'll come back to this to finish it off, but let's just sort out the candidate routing as well using the conditional statement. Okay, so let's just also go navigation, go to page. For this, we'll go to the candidate page or the candidate dashboard. Now, what was the first? I think it's account. V equals account. In terms of the conditional statements, very simply, each user has a user type. So let's use that user type to distinguish which step should run here. So only when the current user's user type is company, then go to page company. Okay, I'm going to right click, copy expression, and then right click, paste expression in step 2, and then change company to candidate. Stay where you are. I just want to remind myself what the parameter needs to be for the candidate. Okay, definitely account. And on the company, overview. Perfect. Okay. And browse jobs. This could have been a link, but doesn't matter. Again, this is a logged in view. We're going to add workflow and browse jobs. Navigate, go to page, search. And that's all we're going to do for this internal navigation, guys. But we are going to also sort out the mobile navigation as well. Now, in order to use this reusable element, let's go back to the nav bar. And let's go find the group user. There it is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there a second. I'm going to scroll down to avatar under reusable elements. Click once. And then drop it inside group user. There it is there. Now that that's inside, it's asking for a data source. So remember, we set a type of data on the reusable element. And we changed the data source for the image avatar from the current user's avatar to the parent group's avatar. So this is why we did it, so we can feed data through from basically where we are using this reusable element, such as in the nav bar. Okay, so this is going to be the current user because it's expecting a user data type. Now we can delete this one here, this image avatar, because it's static, it's not doing anything. So because this is current user, if I edit the element, it is referencing a type of content user, and we're sending through the current user. And then because this is basically a layer, we are then referencing the parent group's user's avatar, and we know that's going to be the current user because we've just configured it in the nav bar. So that's all we need to do on this page. But why don't we go ahead and test this? So I'm going to go back to index and then preview the page. Okay, so this is working, and if we hover, the mouse pointer changes to a hand, and if I click, there we go, and we've got our little shadow around it, which looks pretty good. So I could log out and do what I need to do. Look at this hover effect, very, very nice. Let's go to the dashboard. There we go, and we landed at overview. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Finally, we got it done, and I'll see you in the next lesson.